very much for joining us today. We hopefully won't take up too much of your time. And the objective of today's presentation is to give you an indication, or I guess an overview of the changes that are happening within DDLS around Citrix. So let me just launch straight into it. So before we actually launch into the Citrix update, I just want to give you a bit of a refresher on some of the course codes and how the course codes work, because sometimes it can be a bit confusing and it's a bit hard for you to identify as a student which course you decide to or you would like to go and sit as a student. So if you can imagine, the naming convention for Citrix is actually pretty easy. If you look at this particular example, which is the Zen Desktop 210 course, you'll notice that the CXD, Citrix Zen Desktop, obviously is included in the abbreviation. And of course, this one is a 210, which is a 200 level difficulty. Now, to give you an idea of the different levels from 100 to 400, I'll just quickly run you through them. So 100 is a pretty easy level course. These courses are generally run from, they can run maybe 30 minutes to an hour, or a couple of hours, or even sometimes a day or a couple of days. And they're fairly easy, and they're usually aimed at help desk type support staff. The 200 level courses, which are our most popular, are medium, I guess, in challenge or difficulty, and of course they are aimed at general day-to-day duties and administering and overseeing your Citrix infrastructure. The 300 level courses, on the other hand, however, are a bit more difficult, and these courses are really aimed at administrators and those who are looking to troubleshoot their network or their infrastructure that they're running at the moment. And of course, your highest level, which is your 400, this is the most difficult course level, and these courses are really aimed at those students that are looking to design, or even perhaps maybe run as an architect with designing and architecting Citrix infrastructure, or network, should I say. So the current training challenges that we face with not just Citrix but all training is essentially time and money. So what's happening with Citrix is they've realized, I guess from our perspective, is the Australian workforce is one of the most expensive in the world. It's becoming increasingly difficult for managers to have their staff out of the field for 5 days straight. So thankfully Citrix have realized this is not just an Australian problem, this is a global issue. And they've addressed this problem by splitting their courses or modularize them in such a way so that you can now do a Citrix course one of two ways. You can do it as the full 5 days, or you can do it as a split module, come and do 3 days, or come and do 2 days, or come and do them both at the same time as well, which is of course the 5 days. So you can either stay for the entire week and do the full 5 days, or you can come at the end of the week and do the last 2 days, or you can come at the start of the week and do the first 3 days. And this gives you a bit more, I guess it gives you a bit more advantage in that if you only want to learn specific aspects of the course, which they've divided up into very easy modules, you can come and do that. If you don't, if you're trying to get training budget from your manager, you can actually also leverage that as well and just say, look, rather than having 5 days off, I only need 3 or I only need 2. So we're quite excited about this new format. And look, I'm hopeful that as this grows in popularity, that more and more of our vendors adopt it. So just to quickly run you also through this new format, and probably the most represented at the moment, and these are courses that we have on our schedule at the moment, is the NetScaler. So you've got the three types of courses there. You've got both your 222 and your 220, and of course your 300 level course, which is a CNS 320. You'll notice in this particular example that CNS 222 and CNS 220 both have the same 3-day course, which is the CNS 218. That foundation level, or that 3 days 218, doesn't actually change. So the advantage of this is you can actually come and do your NetScaler 12 Essentials for load balancing, which would be your 5 days. And if you then also wanted your certification around Unified Gateway, all you would need to do is come in and do the last 2 days, which is your CNS 221. And vice versa. So if you had your CNS 220, it means you've already completed your 218 and your 221, and all you need to come back and do is you do your traffic management, which is your CNS 219. So this, if you can imagine now, you can come and do your training course. You can either do it in your 5-day format, 3-day format, or your 2-day. Now the key topics of the CNS 220, for example, is you're going to learn how to deploy and manage NetScaler ADC, practice load balancing, look at high availability, classic and default policies, as well as content switching and GLSB. The typical audience for this course is probably students with little or no previous NetScaler experience, and administrators or engineers, architects and partners. So again, this sort of starts to get into the higher level courses, and I would suggest if you're architecting or designing, then you probably might want to look at the CNS 320 course. So moving on to the CXD 310 course, again, CXD stands for Zen Desktop. 310 stands for its medium to high level difficulty. This course again is in the 5-day, 3-day or the 2-day format. As you can see, if you want to do the full 5 days, it's the CXD 310. If you want to do just the 3, which is just the Zen app and Zen Desktop optimize and troubleshooting, that's the 303. And of course, lastly, you've got, if you want to just use provisioning services, then you've got your 304. Now, the CXD 310 course, which is 5 days. Key topics in this is you're leveraging your Zen app and Zen Desktop investment through the use of workspace environment management. You're also going to be looking at provisioning services, application layering, advanced features, and of course troubleshooting tools. And the typical audience for this is generally solution designers, again, such as architects, consultants, and engineers. The CXD 210 course, again, both these courses are very popular. The 252 course, as it says on the tin, this is for customers moving their Zen Desktop into the cloud via the Azure platform. And again, you can either come and do your 3 days, which is your 250, or your 251, which is your 2 days. So this course generally says it's going to show you, it's going to learn how to configure your Citrix storefront and your NetScaler gateway as a service within the Citrix cloud, or as a managed machines, to actually manage machines in your data center or on the Azure platform for remote access. And the typical audience for this one is anyone really tasked with moving their Citrix environment to the cloud. Now, this is a quick slide, just talk about some of the courses that are going end of life and what they're being replaced with. You'll notice on the left-hand side, the CXD 203 has now gone end of life, along with the CXD 300. Those two are two different courses that are at very different levels. They've now, I guess you couldn't call this really an apples for apples comparison, but the CXD 210 is actually replacing both of those courses. The CMB 300, on the other hand, is just been updated to CMB 310. And for those that don't know, the CMB 300 course is the combination or the boot camp course in the old language. And the CXD Zen Desktop 330, again, that's been replaced by the 310, which we mentioned earlier. And the 400 level course, the CXD 400, has been updated to now include the CXD 410. Now, the other thing that you may not have or may not be aware of is Citrix is now getting very serious about security. So they've released a whole new certification stream called, which sits under CTX. And again, it's a similar format. You've got your 3 and your 2 days if you want to do particular modules. And the target audience, again, is the key topics is going to include applications and data security, Citrix authentication, authorization, auditing workflows, operating systems hardening, mitigation against network vulnerabilities, hypervisor security, and of course methods to secure Citrix traffic. The typical audience for this, on the other hand, is those that need to secure a Citrix environment using Zen App, Zen Desktop, NetScaler, Zen Mobile, ShareFile, and of course Citrix Cloud. So if you're tasked with securing the Citrix environment, then this is the course for you. Now, this is another thing quite exciting I wanted to introduce, and again, you may not be aware of, but Citrix have just introduced I guess you could call it a certification fast track. And what that means is, rather than having to go and sit a new exam on I guess that's been updated, Citrix are allowing you, rather than actually going to sit the exam, you can actually come in and do a 5-day ILT course. So for those like myself that aren't really that fond of exams, and you need to come and update your skills, you can come and sit a number of different courses into the future where you can and just sit the course, and that automatically renews. Once you log onto the course and you sit the course and you require the minimum hours, then that automatically renews your certification. And what that does is it gives you the opportunity of actually coming in, rather than just resitting the same content, it gives you the opportunity to learn what's changed in the last 2 or 3 years since you sat your last exam. This is a really good initiative, and I think we're going to get very good traction with this. And if you have any questions, please reach out to your DDLS account manager, or give us a call on 1-800-YOU-LEARN, and we'll be happy to discuss any of your education needs. And lastly, just wanted to thank you. I appreciate you taking time out of your busy day, and I hope this information has been beneficial. But again, if you have any questions, feel free to jump on our website at ddls.com.au, or give us a call at 1-800-YOU-LEARN, or if you have them, please contact your account manager, who'll be happy to talk with you and go through the various solutions that we have available to you today. Thanks again for your time, and I look forward to seeing you in our classroom soon.